Welcome to Kaleidoscope. Let's talk. Sri Lanka has a unique alternative dispute resolution mechanism via mediation boards, playing an important role at community level dispute settlement, offering faster, less adversarial solutions while fostering social harmony and trust. However, while women are known to bring in a different perspective to negotiation, and the fact that 50% of our population comprises women, there should be equal representation in conflict resolution. Joining us today is the Director Gender and Justice of the Asia Foundation, Dr. Ramani Jayasundere, who developed a documenting system for mediation boards and has worked in Nepal, China and Mongolia on mediation observations. In a nutshell, what does a mediation board do in a community, and what sort of mediation are we looking at?
The mediation program at the community level is very interesting. We use interest-based mediation, which is different to the formal procedure in the courts. We have community mediation boards that looks at community disputes and special mediation board that looks at slightly sophisticated disputes, right now land and financial boards. It's about parties deciding for themselves what they want the resolution of the dispute to look like.
Given all the positives that women actually bring into the role of mediation and into that process, in this 21st century, why is it that it is difficult to have women in mediation?
In mediation, as we see the mediation program, it's because of nomination. You have to nominate a person to be part of the program, and when the nominations carry a lot of stereotyped ideas about women, that women prefer not to be part of the process, that women prioritize their work at home, that they are not as good as men as mediators. So these are the reasons that less women are in the mediation boards.
So from a female perspective, what barriers do women actually have to circumvent before they become one of them?
So the thing is, women themselves internalize these stereotyped ideas. They themselves feel that maybe they're not good enough, maybe they should focus more on their household and family chores. So they have to circumvent those first before being trained in a relatively new way of settling disputes.
What are some of the cultural, social mindsets that women actually have to jump hoops to become mediators?
So the hackneyed ones that are existent in a patriarchal society, that women are not strong to facilitate a negotiation between two disputing parties, that women, like I said before, should focus more on their families. That's why you find women mediators always talking about family support. So women themselves feel like to be a mediator, you need a very strong family support. And those are the real hoops. So public perception is also shaped by this. And the public also sometimes feels that it's better to have a male mediator than a female mediator.
When it comes to problems in the community, do you find that there are more sort of problems that have more females involved in it, or is it sort of a 50-50?
It's actually 50-50. From the inception of the mediation program in the late 1980s, women have been 50% of disputants, sometimes a little more. So women do come to mediation boards because they do have disputes. It's just how comfortable they are and how they negotiate at the mediation board, there's a difference.
Do you think there will be a difference if there are more women mediators in this dispute resolution process?
Yes, definitely. I mean, research we've done, talking to people, they say that women have to be there in the mediation board, especially for women to feel comfortable to going there, but also to bring a woman's perspective to any kind of disputes. And I mean, finally, it's about a right to equal participation. We have 50% women in the population. You need to have that equal representation. So it changes from a practical need to an absolute recognition of a right.
So once women do become mediators, what are the issues they have to face?
So there is a proactive approach in the government also to appoint more mediators, women mediators. But when they go there, the same old stereotyped ideas that's in the society come up. So sometimes disputants, when they're selecting mediators, say they would prefer a male just because of the identity or the visual that more men are there. Women also get treated a little differently by their own peers, the men. Sometimes they are relegated to documenting and sometimes relegated to particular types of disputes like family disputes. So they face that, and the fact that they need to manage more than just being a good mediator, the training, the skills. They have to manage their families, they have to manage how they portray themselves because the society is waiting in judgment. Those are the big obstacles for women even after they are appointed as mediators.
With your work on the ground and the work that you've been doing with women, are women themselves interested in becoming mediators?
Definitely, and I keep going back to this whole nomination issue. You talk to women, you talk to women's groups, they're saying we are ready, we can do this, nobody's nominating us. So women are definitely ready, and some even actually enhance their skills. Women's organizations work with women so that they know what they are going into. It's just this barrier of nomination. If women could apply, they can easily apply. But the thing is, women's organizations also can nominate women to be mediators. The nomination process is not known enough, and that has been a barrier as well. So if the process is known, that anybody, organization, individual can nominate, I think more women would be nominated, and the women are definitely ready.
Is there any way this nomination process can be changed?
I don't think there's a need to change it, because it's good that someone nominates so that you don't have this selection of when someone applies to see whether a person has qualifications, experience. So the nomination process itself is not a bad thing, but how it's practically administered, because the nomination chances go to lots of head of communities, very much government, and the nominators who are approached carry all these stereotyped ideas about women. I think more awareness, more chances for women's organizations, women themselves to nominate other women would change it. I don't think the process itself has to change at all.
What success stories have been there of women as mediators?
In the late 1980s when mediation started, there was no focus on women. By about 2000, everyone's like, where are the women? And at that time, we did a count, and there was 1.4% of the 7,500 mediators. But now, after a lot of work, it's now nearly 30%. So this in itself is a success story. But when you look at the individual women mediators, women chairpersons, each one has a story, not just about skills and knowledge and experience, but also about navigating those social constraints. And there are so many.
Looking at mediations that women have actually mediated, how do women think or act differently than men when it comes to dispute resolution?
So there's a lot of global literature on how women negotiate. There are particular ways of how women approach a conflict, of how women articulate their status, their needs, and how women have to be facilitated, which is a very different way of facilitating men to bargain for what they want. So theoretically, there's a difference in the way women negotiate, and practically very much. But it doesn't mean that women negotiate at a lesser level. They just negotiate differently, and this is an insight that must come to the mediation process, that when parties come, one is a man, one is a woman, you have to think that they will negotiate differently. They will need different tools, different facilitation. If not, treating them equally means you're generally favoring the male disputant.
Given that you've worked in this space for such a long time, what would you like to see in the mediation space?
50% women mediators, definitely. Because we don't have to work on women coming to mediation boards as disputants, like I mentioned from the very beginning. But we have 30% now, we need to maintain the 30%, but I won't rest till we have 50%. I mean, it's a reflection of the population. And the more women come, the nuanced strength of mediation comes out. That we are looking at gender equality, we are looking at women-sensitive processes, and it's a right. So 50% women, definitely.
May your wish come true.
Thank you so much.
Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Subscribe, follow, and like us if you want more of us.